Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Committee of Adjustment meeting of May 21st. I'm going to call our chair for this evening to start with the meeting proceedings.
Thank you, Kara. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to welcome you to the Town of Erie Committee of Adjustment meeting of May 21st, 2020. Please note that this meeting is being live streamed on YouTube. I will now call this meeting to order. This is a hearing of the Committee of Adjustment for the purposes of serving both minor variance and consent applications. The committee members have been provided with all comments received prior to the meeting. First, I would like to introduce you to the committee members and staff. Ken Burden is a committee member. David Gianfrancisco is a committee member. Kara Rach is the secretary treasurer. Aaron Butler is our meeting host and is going to be doing the background technical duties. And my name is Denise Van Osh, and I will be chairing tonight's meeting. You may wish to put your view, if you are on Zoom, you may wish to put your view on gallery view by clicking the top right corner from the speaker view. We ask that you are mindful of background noise for the duration of the meeting. I'll ask the committee members to ensure that your microphones are muted until you are asked to speak. And if you wish to speak, will you please raise your hand? And that way I'll be able to notify you that you're free to speak, as well as raise your hand when you are voting on the actual applications. Please note that attendees who have registered will remain in the waiting room via telephone or electronically until their application of interest is brought to the committee. Those participating online via Zoom will be asked by the chair to raise their virtual hand when they wish to speak. On the computer, you can also do so by clicking on participants at the bottom center of the screen and then click raise hand. On a mobile device, you can tap raise hand at the bottom left corner. You will then be called upon to speak and your microphone will be unmuted by staff. If you are participating by phone, you will be unmuted by staff when the agenda item that you have registered is being discussed. We ask that each attendee keep their comments to 10 minutes to allow all attendees the opportunity to speak. Applications and attendees are advised that they are free to leave the webinar once a decision has been made on your application. Each application will proceed in the following order. The Secretary Treasurer will summarize the purpose and effect of the application and any comments received. The applicant called upon to speak and to make any further comments if they have any. Committee members will then ask questions of the applicant. Then the registered attendees or the public asked to speak one at a time, stating their full name and address for the record and provide any comments that they have towards the application. Then the chair will close the application once all comments have been heard, and then committee members will make a decision on the application, whether that be approved, refused, or deferred, and state if any conditions apply. So we'll follow those 6 steps in order for each of the applications. Also ask that you please address your comments and questions through the chair. Each application will be heard in order as it appears on the agenda. Notice of decisions will be provided to all applicants stating the outcome of the hearing and any conditions of approval if required. Please note that correspondence and comments received this evening are restricted to the matters of the Committee of Adjustment and the Planning Act. In considering each application this evening, the Committee of Adjustment will have due regard for the provisions of Section 45 and Section 53 of the Ontario Planning Act of 1990 as amended. A 20-day appeal period exists for each application heard this evening. Final appeal dates are noted on the notice of decision and are available by requesting a copy in writing. Any person, corporation, or public body has the right to appeal a committee decision or any conditions on the consent approval and may submit an appeal to the local planning appeal tribunal within the allowable period of time. Further instructions for filing an appeal are available on the notice of decision. I will now begin by asking committee members present if they have any conflict of interest with respect to any of the hearings this evening, or applications this evening. Ken?
Madam Chair, I do not have any conflicts.
Thank you. David, do you have any conflicts?
Madam Chair, I have to declare a conflict with minor variance file A05-20, 3573 Dominion Road.
Okay. Okay, so we'll note that the member will be removed from the application proceeding and rejoin the meeting once a decision has been made for that application. And also for myself, I do not have any conflicts. We'll also ask that the member submit your declaration of conflict via email to Kara if you have not already done so. I will now ask the Secretary Treasurer if notice of this meeting was properly given in accordance with the provisions of the Ontario Planning Act.
Yes, it has been.
And have you received any requests for adjournment or withdrawal respecting any of tonight's applications?
Yes, we have. We've had an adjournment for consent file B0220. Property address is 528 Scott Avenue.
Okay, thank you. I now ask if members have any corrections to the minutes of February 19th or March 19th meeting. Ken, do you have any further corrections or?
I do not, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. And David?
I do not as well.
And nor do I. So there being no further corrections, the minutes stand approved as circulated. Okay, we will now proceed with the first application. The first application is consent file B0320, 114 Idlewild Street. And the applicant is Mr. John Teal, and the owner is Dawn Ann Gittins. Are you ready to proceed this evening, Mr. Teal?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you. I'll now ask Kara. Sorry, I lost my place here.
I'll read the correspondence.
Okay, please read the correspondence received. Thank you.
This consent application proposes to separate two parcels that inadvertently merged in title to form one whole parcel following a change in ownership of the two adjacent parcels. This has resulted in two single detached dwellings on one parcel. Parcel 1 and 2 on the severed sketch comprise the retained parcel, which is municipally known as 116 Idlewild Street, and parcel 3 and 4 on the severed sketch comprise the proposed parcel, which is municipally known as 114 Idlewild Street. The proposal to separate the two dwellings is desirable from a planning perspective as it achieves the planning objective of having one single detached dwelling on one lot. The retained and proposed parcels meet their zoning requirements. Zoning staff note that 5% cash in lieu of parkland dedication is not required in this instance, as the consent merely reinstates a previous approval and no developable lot is available. Conditions, no comments or objections were received from staff, agencies, or the public prior to the meeting. And the conditions imposed, provisional conditions include a legal description and a reference plan being provided to the Secretary Treasurer, and that the final consent fee be paid prior to final consent certificate.
I can't see.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Mr. Teal, would you like to make any comments on the application or any of the correspondence received tonight?
Mr. Chairman, as the secretary indicated, this is really a do-over. This severance had already been completed, and unfortunately, my client's father, who's now deceased, got some bad advice and allowed a conveyance to be registered that had the effect of re-merging the property. In fact, the property is already on a reference plan. It's on 15393, which was put in place in 2015 because the previous severance had already been done. So this is really a correction that we're doing.
Okay, thank you. Do any of the committee members have any questions for the applicant? Ken?
I do not have any questions, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. And David?
I do not have any questions.
Nor do I. Does anyone in the audience wish to comment? Please raise your virtual hand and you will be asked to speak one at a time.
I'm seeing none, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so seeing as we have no questions, I'll now ask the members if they would like to express their views on the proposal. We'll start with Ken.
Madam Chair, this appears to be just a correction of an oversight in the past. Don't see any complications with this. I would be in support of approving the consent application.
Okay. And David?
I concur with Ken's comments. It meets with staff's approval and have no objections to it.
Okay, thank you. And now I will entertain a motion. Sorry, I should repeat this. The public portion of the hearing is now closed, and I'll now entertain a motion with conditions on this application.
I'll do the first one, Madam Chair. I'll make a motion that we approve consent land application B03/20 Fort Erie, which is 114 Idlewild Street, with all attached and stated conditions.
David?
I'll be in favor of that.
Okay. So I'll entertain the motion. All in favor? Okay. And the motion is carried. Your application has been approved. You will receive written notice of the committee's decision, and the decision will become final so long as no appeals are received within 20 days. And we thank you for attending tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members.
Take care. Okay. So now we'll proceed with the next application before us. It is consent file B04/20 and B05/20, 2626 Winger Road. The applicant is Upper Canada Consultants, Mr. Hycoop, and the owners are Beam Realco Limited. Are you ready to proceed this evening?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Carol, will you please read all related correspondence?
Application B04 proposes a severance on 2626 Winger Road, an industrial parcel located in the Stevensville neighborhood. The retained parcel is shown as Part 1 on the sketch and is intended for construction of an office and maintenance building associated with the construction trades establishment. The proposed parcel is shown as Parts 2 and 3 on the severance sketch and will continue its existing use as a storage building. An easement is proposed on Part 3 in favor of both Part 1 and 2 to allow for a storm sewer outlet to the Black Creek. We received comments from the town and region MPCA, all who are in favor with conditions on the application. Requested conditions are 2% cash in lieu of parkland, legal description and reference plan being provided, copy of the easement documents being provided, final consent fee being submitted. The region's asked for a permanent fencing to be installed by the owner as per the environmental impact study, as well as a legal undertaking to implement mitigation measures, and that a landscape plan be submitted. That concludes.
Mr. Hycoop, would you like to make any comments on the application or any of the correspondence received?
Yes, thank you. I guess this one's a little bit of a simpler one from my perspective. We took the necessary steps to ensure that Part 1, the future beam yard for beam contracting, would have a proper stormwater outlet to the Black Creek area. So that's why we're asking for that stormwater easement. At this point in time, they're not sure what they intend to do with Part 2. but know that at this time they only need the area of 2.6 hectares as shown for part 1 to accommodate their proposed use. I expect that future plans will be completed on part 2 in the future, but nothing's proposed at this time. I've reviewed the planning report and all the relevant agency comments and have no concern with those conditions. Yeah, I don't think there's much to add. I'm happy to answer any questions any of the committee members may have.
Okay, thank you. David, did you want to, do you have any questions of the applicant?
Just the one. You're okay with the conditions set forth, William?
Yes, I am. I mean, really the conditions put on by the region are a little bit redundant because everything that is required for the NPCA work permit will be completed through that process. So I don't see an issue meeting any of these conditions.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Ken?
No questions, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. I have no questions either. Is anyone in the audience who wishes to comment? Please raise your virtual hand and we'll ask that speak one at a time. I'll give you a minute here. Okay, seeing as there is nobody in the audience that wishes to speak at this time, I'll now.
Madam Chair, may I?
Oh, sorry, yeah.
No, that's okay. I'm not seeing any virtual hands, but we do have one member of the public that was registered to view this application.
Okay.
We may bring them in to the floor just to allow them an opportunity to speak. They may not have any issues. Just want to make sure there's no technical difficulties on their end with raising their hand.
Okay, so sorry, Aaron, you're going to touch base with that person or? Oh, I see. Okay.
So Mr. or Mrs. Z, we've brought you into the floor and you should be able to unmute yourself now. Yeah, there you go. And I'll hand it back over to Madam Chair.
Did you wish to make any comments or questions about this application before us?
No, we don't.
You don't have any questions?
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So
You have a question? No.
I'll move them back into the attendee so they can continue to watch.
Okay. Are the committee members ready to make a decision? Okay, the public hearing portion regarding this file is now closed. And I'll ask the members present to express their views, and we'll start with Ken, please.
Madam Chair, I'll be in support of the consent land application. The planning staff have reviewed it and they are in support of it. Also, the reporting agencies also are in support of it, subject to the conditions which have been outlined specifically by the region.
Okay. And David, are you express your views, please?
I'll also be in favor of this application tonight. It's supported by town and regional staff and I have no issue with it.
Okay. And I'll now entertain a motion with conditions.
I'll put the motion forward, that consideration of all written and oral submissions for consent file B0420 and B0520 be approved with all stated conditions.
And all in favor? Okay, so the motion is carried. Your application has been approved. You will receive written notice of the committee's decision. Decision will become final so long as no appeals are received within 20 days of the notice. We thank you for attending this evening.
Thank you very much.
All right, the next application before us is consent file B06/20. The address is 3318 Bethune Avenue. The applicant is Nancy Bazanko, applicant and owner. Are you ready to proceed with your application this evening?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you. I hope I pronounced your name
Yes.
respectably. Okay, so now first we'll ask Kara to please read all the correspondence and comments received.
This consent application proposed the creation of a new residential lot in the Ridgeway Thunder Bay neighborhood. Parcel 2 is an infill lot which is currently vacant and is proposed to be developed for single detached dwelling in the future. The retained parcel is described as parcel 1 and contains a single detached dwelling known as 3318 Bethune Avenue. Creation of an infill lot in the urban area meets provincial, regional, and planning policy and is an efficient use of existing municipal services and urban land. It is the opinion of planning staff that the proposal to create a new infill residential development represents good planning and is consistent with provincial, regional, and town planning policy. And planning staff have no objection to the consent application, provided their conditions are fulfilled. Conditions include, sorry, I'm just juggling all the papers here. Tree preservation plan and protection plan be prepared and submitted. Payment of 5% cash in lieu of parkland be paid to the town. A legal description and reference plan is submitted. Final consent fees be paid. 1 tree fee be paid. A lot grading plan for both parts will be submitted and a streetlight fee to be paid to the town. We did receive comments. Staff have received 2 letters of objection from the area residents and a petition from neighbors objecting to the virtual meeting format that we're pursuing this evening. The residents have expressed concerns regarding the removal of mature trees on the subject property and accessibility to the meeting for all area residents as the meeting is being conducted via Zoom. Planning staff have responded stating that the trees located on the subject lands are not protected by any policies, bylaws, or regulations of the town. The removal of trees to facilitate the construction of future detached dwelling is permitted. Further to aerial imagery, which was provided to the committee members, surrounding the lots that currently have detached dwelling were once covered by mature trees. Over a period of time, there has been a removal of trees to allow residential development. Staff are recommending that the tree preservation plan be submitted to ensure the protection of trees, which are located along the common lot line between the new parcel and the abutting and easterly northerly parcels, and the trees located within the road allowance. The Secretary Treasurer has responded directly to all comments about the virtual meeting method and procedures and policies and assisted in trying to assist those. Those comments had also been provided to the committee members as well as the petition. Residents also voiced concern over the 2-week notice of the application. Notices were mailed on May 1st, and according to Section 53(5) of the Planning Act, which stipulates notices are given at least 14 days before a decision is made. And also consent signs were posted from May 7th to May 21st as per the Planning Act regulations. That concludes the comments.
Thank you. Does the applicant have any comments or on the application or on the correspondence that we've received?
Yes. I got a letter from Rash and Hyde, Ontario Land Surveyors. I'm just going to read what he wrote to me because it's technical that I don't understand. So
okay.
He said, I suggest that it is very important that you make sure when you go to the meeting that the committee acknowledges that you will not require a reference plan. The legal description for the severed parcel is going to be lots 565 and 566, plan 434. And the land registry office, your lawyer, the purchases lawyer, and the TFE should accept this description. Did everybody hear that?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I just want to say that. And when my future retirement house, I'm planning on keeping as many trees as possible. That's what I love about Ridgeway. And I have lived here 30 years and I have seen all this development on my street particular that were all once treed lots. And I think I'm the last lot left on the street. And yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you. I'll ask committee members if they have any questions of the applicant. We'll start with Ken.
Oh,
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
On some of the complaints, they were saying that it housed deer and a rare form of a toad. Yeah, that is not
Nancy,
true.
did we lose you?
Okay,
Okay.
okay. Ken, do you have any questions of the applicant?
Yes, Madam Chair, through the chair to the applicant. I'm understanding that the advice that you received by the surveyor, that you would not want the condition that has already been outlined by our Secretary Treasurer. And is that what the applicant is saying?
That it would not be required. That it would not be required if they would waive that.
The Rash and Hyde Ontario Land Survey said you should not require a new reference plan. The legal descriptions, severed parcel is going to be lots 565, which it is now, and 566. Is this, do you want me to reread that whole phrase?
No, that's okay, Nancy. I would just like to redirect the question then to our staff as to how the condition is meant to suffice what the staff are proposing.
Right, right, Ken, yeah, because I think in the condition, it talks about legal description and a deposited reference plan. So it seems as though the reference plan is not necessary. So maybe Aaron or Kara could give us some feedback on that.
And so it's Erin here. I just have Kara's just having some internet issues, but she'll be hopping back on. But she's just acknowledged to me that she would agree that the reference plan may not be necessary, as the lots are described as whole lots in a plan of subdivision and on an existing reference plan.
Okay, so for that condition, we can say legal description, reference plan if necessary, or should we take reference plan right out of the condition?
You can likely take the reference plan right out of the condition.
Okay. Okay, David, do you have any, sorry, Aaron, should we wait for Kara to get back on, or can we proceed?
We can proceed.
Okay. David, do you have any questions of the applicant?
No, Ken took care of that question for me, but thank you.
Okay, okay, thank you. I have no questions of the applicant either. Oh, sorry, Ken, go ahead.
So if we could just ask Kara when she does come back online to reread the amended condition.
Okay.
All right, just so that we have a verbalization of what has been discussed.
Okay, sounds good. Now I'm going to ask if anybody is in the audience who wishes to comment on this application before us. And if you can please raise your hand and we'll get to each one of you one at a time. And once you do have your microphone, I believe if you could please state your name as well as your address, please.
Madam Chair, I've just brought in Mr. Jennings. Mr. Jennings, you should be unmuted now and free to speak.
Yeah, I think he's unmuted. So Mr. Jennings, would you please state your address for us?
Yes, my Madam Chair, my address is 3304 Bethune Avenue.
Okay.
Directly adjacent to the parcel of land.
Okay.
And to be quite honest with you, I really looked into this over the last month, and I don't think we have any, I mean, as far as I know, we really do not have any recourse of doing of what she's going to do with cutting down 50 mature trees. And by the way, there are deer living in there, and I have the pictures to prove it, and I have pictures of the toads too. But I understand that that doesn't make a hill of beans with the city, because I checked into it. I just would like to know, is this the first committee meeting you guys have done online? Like, as far as variances, do you think this is a good practice? I want to hear this from you guys. Do you think this is a good practice?
I think it's a practice that is needed in order to facilitate moving forward with these applications. In all applications, because we do meet twice a month. And since the shutdowns, that has been put on hold since March 19th. And we would have had 2 meetings in April, and we would have had 2 meetings in May. And so this has been a necessary format in order for the people who do have these minor variances and consent applications in order to move them forward. It's kind of like a due process.
You think this is due process with all the people that are in this area that cannot get on a Zoom call or a Zoom line and have their voices heard? Do you think this is due process? For the record.
For the record, they are also able, they have an opportunity to contact, they can call into the town to get their voice out there. They can send, they could have dropped off a letter, written letter to the town as well, because there is that 14-day notice that we must provide. So as well as the sign posted, and there are multiple ways of being able to submit your comments.
Yeah.
And that even goes for if you can, or if you're not able to actually attend the public meeting at the town, you can write in and also address it that way. And all of that information is presented to us. And we also consider that when we are looking at the applications.
No, I understand things have to move forward, Madam Chair, but I just don't, for the record, this is not a way of doing business. This is the wrong way of doing business. And for the record also, over the last hour, my neighbors decided to put every piece of garbage that she had in her backyard or around her neighborhood 10 feet from the road and fill up that lot. That's really nice. I'm selling my house, and beside my house is a pile of garbage, which they put there in the last hour and a half. That's just great. You know, that's the way a ridgeway should look. All the neighbors have complained. A couple of them tried to get on tonight, and they could not get on. So now, mind you, they probably try to get on a little late because they texted me, said we can't get on. But I'm just saying, Ridgeway is losing its appeal if you guys are just going to keep developing. Oh, by the way, that property is going to be developed. Not only is she subdividing the lot by hers, I was under the impression that the lot was sold to a developer from Mississauga who is going to split the lot, unfortunately. So it's going to be 3 houses on one lot now.
Yeah, well, that would have to come back to the committee in order for that to have to be done.
Okay, but just for the record, I have talked to, over the last 4 weeks, so many people that are in Ridgeway that have dealt with this, and their impression is that the councilors and the developers and the planners are all in the same bedroom. So that's just a comment that they made. That's it. All of them did that. And this is people that have got land here.
Okay, Mr. Jennings, I'm just going to, I understand that you, don't feel that this is, the Zoom meeting is not an appropriate forum. And I'm also going to say that you are not in agreement with this consent. And is there any other thing I can't comment on council. I can only provide you with my own comments. So is there anything new that you want to add based upon why you do not think it should be approved?
Again,
planning related?
I'm stating that. I'm not saying it shouldn't be approved. I'm just stating that this is not the way for the city to do business. And I talked to several councilors about it and they agreed. I talked to the mayor and he said I should have actually got a stay on these things. So just for the record, I think you guys are going about this the wrong way.
Okay.
Yeah, Madam Chair, may I just make a comment that this was approved by council, this procedure to proceed with these at a council meeting by all the councilors.
Oh,
I want to state that. So.
Sorry about that. So I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry, Kara. Because Kara knows that I've been involved in this. Kara, do I have to go online to see what councilors voted for this?
I suggest contacting the clerk's department for minutes of that meeting and see how that procedural really was. They're probably available online as well. I'm not sure if they do voting online.
Okay, no problem. Listen, guys, I'm not trying to be a pain. I'm just trying to be a concerned resident of Ridgeway. I moved here 5 years ago to get out of Mississauga, so I didn't have to watch all this development. Now Ridgeway is just being developed and it's not, Nancy, if you're still on the line, it's not against you, Nancy. This is nothing against you. This is a way that I just don't think it's the right way to do business. And I thank you for your time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other people, anybody else in the audience who wishes to comment?
I'm seeing no others, Madam Chair.
Okay, no others. Okay, does the committee members have any questions or comments? We'll start with Ken.
Madam Chair, it's difficult to see trees being taken down and losing the enjoyment of the natural elements. However, we do have before us a consent application which does meet all of the requirements under the town's policy for planning and also for the region. I'm glad that we've taken care to at least do a tree preservation plan. And as far as the other conditions, such as from the engineering division, these are just normal things that happen, like the trees and also the lot grading plan and also the street light. So I would be in favor of supporting this consent land application.
Okay. David, do you have any any more questions of the applicant or?
No, I do not, Madam Chair.
Okay. And I'm just going to go back to the applicant. Do you have any comments, any further comments that you want to relate before we consider the public hearing portion closed?
Yes.
Hello, am I?
Yes, yes, go ahead.
I'm just, on my application, I am to pay for a street light. Is that my understanding?
Let me just,
Your conditions will be provided to you in your decision, notice of decision, and they'll be outlined. And if you have any questions on them, you can contact me to discuss them further.
Oh, so I can't address this now?
No, that will be a condition of your consent.
So, I'm sorry, what did you wanted to just talk about that condition?
Oh, the reference plan? You were
No, the reference plan, so we're going to amend that condition. We're going to take out the reference plan portion. So what was your next comment about this? There is a condition put on by the development development approvals, the engineering division at the town. And it talks about the owner applicant pay the town of Port Erie all associated costs for installation of one streetlight, and that's $950. That's in accordance with the town of Port Erie street lighting policy bylaw 37-2016.
I know, hang on. There are no streetlights on Bethune, only on the intersections.
So when properties get developed, the town staff looks to see the spacing of those and the developer. And in this case, you are the developer of the land because you are putting forth the consent application. And the developers are the ones that pay those costs in order to put a streetlight on the at the proper location.
Okay.
Okay. Any other comments about that, about any of the conditions or the comments from the neighbors?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
comments? Oh,
Yeah.
Mr. Jennings keeps.
I mean, you don't have to. I'm just asking if you wanted to.
Oh, well, no, he does keep speaking of 50 trees. And as I say, just for the record, there'd only be 28 cut down because I want to keep all.
That's all there is.
Oh, that's all there is.
There's only 28 trees.
But I want to keep there. I think there's 5 in the back
Okay.
that I'm keeping, or
Okay.
10. I don't know.
There was only 28 trees,
Okay,
not 50.
sorry. Let me just re-say this. I apologize.
That's okay.
There's only 28 trees on my lot, and I'm keeping at least 10 because they're further back.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so I think what we'll do, the committee members are ready to make a decision. So the public hearing portion will be now closed. And Ken, maybe can you just reiterate, express your views on the proposal?
Madam Chair, I'll be in support of the motion for the consent land application B0620. The parcel 2 is currently vacant and is proposed to be developed for a single detached dwelling, not unlike other properties we've seen in that neighborhood. And the planning has reiterated many times, as they do tonight, creation of an infill lot in the urban area does meet the provincial and regional planning policy and is in fact an efficient use of the existing municipal services and the urban land. There are a number of conditions, one of which we are amending with regards to the reference plan, but I would be in support of the consent application.
Okay, thank you. And David?
I'll also be in favor of this consent application tonight. It's creation of an infill lot, which is supported by town planning and regional staff also, and I have no issues with it.
Okay, thank you. I'm also in support of this. I just wanted to reiterate that the aerial view from 2013 showed several lots there that were treed at one time as early as 2013. And in the past 7 years, there has been 6 lots that previously were treed that were able to put residential housing on it. And that is what the current zoning is, residential housing. And parcel 2 meets all of the requirements for the current zoning. So I'm also in support of this application. So I'll now entertain a motion with conditions on this application.
Madam Chair, I'll make the motion that we approve consent land application B0620 for 3318 Bethune Avenue with all associated conditions.
I'll
With
second
the,
that motion.
sorry, with the amended legal description, not requiring a reference plan.
Yes, please.
Okay, and all in favor? Okay, and so the motion is carried. Your application has been approved. You will receive written notice of the committee's decision. The decision will become final so long as no appeals are received within 20 days of the notice. And we thank you for attending this evening.
Thank you very much. I'm excited. Very much.
Good. Okay, so now we'll move on to consent file B07/20, and that address is 80 Pleasant Avenue. The applicant is Daniel Zanata. The owners are Michael Kazmarasek. I probably did not pronounce that correctly. I apologize. And Janina Haranik. Ironic. Okay, thank you. Mr. Zanata?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, are you ready to proceed tonight?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Kara, will you please read all correspondence and comments?
This consent application proposes a boundary adjustment in the Ridgeway Thunder Bay neighborhood area between 64 and 80 Pleasant Avenue. Part 1 of the application sketch is proposed to split 64 Pleasant Avenue and merge in title with 80 Pleasant. Planning staff support this proposal as both parcels will comply with the minimum lot frontage and lot area required by the R1 zoning, and no other zoning deficiencies will result from this boundary adjustment. Cash in lieu of parkland dedication is not required in this instance, as developable lots will not be generated through this consent. Planning staff have no objection with the following conditions: that the applicant owner provide an undertaking indicating that Part 1 will merge in title with Part 3, that a reference plan and a legal description be provided to the Secretary Treasurer, and that the final consent fee be paid to the town of Fort Erie. That concludes.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Zanata, do you have any comments that you wish to make on the correspondence received?
No, nothing further. I think it's self-explanatory. Thank you.
Thank you. Ken, do you have any questions of the applicant?
No, Madam Chair, I do not.
Okay. David, do you?
No, I do not, Madam Chair.
Okay. Nor do I. I'm not. Is anybody in the audience who wishes to comment? Okay, so seeing as there is nobody that wishes to comment, I'll ask, we have no further questions. Are the members ready to make a decision? And if so, we'll have the public hearing portion closed. And I'll ask David, if you want to express your views on the proposal.
I'll be in favor of this consent tonight. It's supported by town staff, and it's just a minor boundary adjustment, so I have no issue with it.
Okay, thank you. And Ken?
Madam Chair, I concur with Dave on this. I do not have any issues either.
Okay, I'll now entertain a motion.
I'll put a motion forward that consideration of all written and oral submissions for consent file B7-20 be accepted with the stated conditions.
I'll second it.
All right, and all in favor? Okay, so the motion is carried. Your application has been approved. You will receive written notice of the committee's decision, and the decision will become final so long as no appeals are received within 20 days of the notice. We thank you for attending this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman or Mr. Chairman and committee members.
Okay, take care. Okay, now we'll carry on with minor variance file A4/20. It's 22 Queen Circle. The applicant is Adriano Garando. The owner is Stephen DeSantis, Landscape Depot Provincial Construction. Are you ready to proceed this evening?
Yes, I am.
Okay, very good. Kara, will you please read all correspondence and comments?
The purpose and effect of this application is to permit a decrease to the minimum required unit frontage for semi-detached dwellings to 7.35 meters and 8.8 meters for the corner lot on a vacant lot which fronts onto Queen's Circle. The subject property received approval for a consent file in 2019 B22 to sever the lot and to reduce lot frontage for the minor variance A3319. Planning staff are in support of the application. But neighborhood planning staff also provided comments to the applicant, which we have discussed. And as well, there were no conditions imposed by staff on the application.
Okay.
That
Do you
concludes.
thank you. Do you wish to make any comments on the application before us?
No.
No? Okay. Ken, do you have any questions of the applicant?
Just a general interest question, Madam Chair. When I was looking at the property, obviously you turn around and you see something very similar on the opposite of Queen Circle. And I wondered if this was like a duplicate or something very similar in design and in space usage.
Okay. Are you able to comment on that?
Oh, yep. So the space usage right now is to be determined. So it is just for semi-detached. The design purpose, we did send the concept in. Again, that's just a concept. We were already working on tweaks to that design. But yeah, we'll finalize that on construction drawings. But the actual the square footages and the layout on the inside will be the same, just the outside will be a little bit different.
Okay. And with the new layout, of course, you'll have to make sure that you're still within those setbacks, or you'll have to come back to see us maybe.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's what I mean. Everything will be according to the zoning bylaw.
Okay.
So, yeah, we'll be good on that.
Okay. David, do you have any questions of the applicant?
No, I do not, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. And I have no questions either. So I'll ask that the public, oh, sorry, I skipped a point there. Is anybody in the audience who wishes to comment on the application before us? Please raise your hand.
We do have one member of the public, Madam Chair, with their hand raised. I'll bring in Arthur Zestepa in one moment.
Okay, could you please state your address, Mr. Zetepa?
Zestepa, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. 16 Queen Circle.
16, okay.
16.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just have a couple concerns about the variance. One is that it would make the property or the building structure too close to the surrounding structures. But more importantly, my second concern is that it would, the increased or the decreased variance and increased building structure would interfere with proper infiltration and drainage of rainfall and increase risks of pooling and flooding in neighboring properties as well as the laneway. I'm not sure if there have been any thought or study put into that on how it would affect drainage. The structure itself would already affect the drainage negatively, and an expansion of the building structure, the area on which it lies, would furthermore negatively affect the drainage. So one aside here, I wanted to note that it seems that the laneway here that's adjacent to these properties is the only one or one of few that does not contain a sewer grate. The other laneways in the area I noticed do have sewers, but this one does not. I'm not sure why that is. I haven't looked into it yet, but considering the proposed building, I don't know if that's something that has been considered to improve drainage. I just wanted to finish off with that. If the semi-detached is not suitable for the lot that it's being built on and needs this kind of variance, then maybe a more appropriate structure would be a single detached. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Did the applicant want to make any comments based on that correspondence?
No, no comment.
Okay. Does the committee members have any questions? I'll start with Ken.
Madam Chair, I mean, those are legitimate concerns from the attendee. I think those matters would actually be addressed through the submission of the plans to the building department in dealing with things like drainage and also separation between buildings, like having the fire separation and so forth. About the sewer, that I could not comment on that at all. It would have to go to the actual engineering division to get some sort of feedback.
Right, thank you. David, do you have any comments?
No, I do not.
Okay, thank you. I'll just make a comment that the applicant is only requesting the minor variances for the frontage. The side yards are still going to be maintained with what the actual minimum side yards in the zoning plan are. So they're proposing a 3.2 meter exterior side yard to Munster Lane, as well as I think it's a 1.88 side yard that would be towards the south. So he's maintaining the requirement for the zoning for the side yards. It is strictly the unit frontage that is requesting for reduction. I will now have members, if you're ready to make a decision, we can close the public hearing portion. And I'll now ask the members present to express their views on the proposal. So we'll go with Ken.
Madam Chair, I'll be in support of the minor variance for 22 Queen Circle. The actual tests, the 4 tests that we look at were aptly answered by the planning staff. And there were no other issues regarding some of the other departments from the town of Port Erie.
Thank you. David?
I'll also be in favor of this minor variance application tonight. It meets the 4 tests. I believe the variance is minor in nature as stated by the town, and I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, thank you. And I am also in favor. And when building permits, when the applicant goes for building permits, they will have a requirement for a lot grading plan. So hopefully that will take care of Mr. Sorry, I'm not saying your name properly. The neighbors' concerns. So I'll now entertain a motion with conditions, please.
Madam Chair, I'll put forward a motion that we approve minor variance file A0420 for 22 Queen Circle. There are no conditions on this application.
Okay. And okay, seconder, and all in favor? Okay, so the motion is carried. Your application has been approved. You will receive written notice of the committee's decision. The decision will become final so long as no appeals are received within 20 days of the notice. And we thank you for attending tonight.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, so now we are carrying on with minor variance file A05/20, 3573 Dominion Road, Deerwood Estates. The applicant is John Weems and the owner is Southport Builders Limited. And David has left because of his conflict of interest. So we will proceed with this application. Is John Weems here? Okay.
Yes, I am.
Okay, very good. Are you ready to proceed with the application this evening?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And Carol, will you please read all correspondence?
The purpose and effect of this application is to request a reduction to the rear yard setback for units 1 to 10 in the Deerwood Lanes condominium block for decks that are above 1.5 meters above grade. Please be advised that on the notice, there was a typographical error not referencing that they were above 1.5 in grade. However, the application and the planning report do reference that accurately. At the time, planning staff do support this application, and no comments or concerns were received. We did receive numerous phone calls from the residents within units 1 to 10 this afternoon, who are all in support of the variance. And that concludes the application. No conditions were imposed by town staff.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Weems, do you wish to make any comments on the correspondence?
No, I don't.
Okay, thank you. Ken, do you have any questions of the applicant?
Madam Chair, I do not.
Okay. I just have one question. When I drove past there today, it looks as though most of the units will have a basement walkout. Is that correct?
Yeah, I would say units 4 through 10 will have walkout basements. Units 1 through 3 do not.
Okay, and are 1 through 3 on the west side? Is that right or no?
Nope. They are all on the east side of the road. It's just that the 1 to 3 are closest to Dominion Road.
Okay.
And they don't have enough elevation to support a walkout basement.
I see. Okay. And right now, are the lands to the east of that, are they developable or no?
I have been told they are not.
Okay. I think because of wetland or.
Yeah, it's wetlands. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's the only questions that I have. Is anybody in the audience who wish to comment? Please raise your virtual hand and we'll have you come and tell us your name and address.
I'm seeing no others, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Ken, are you ready to make a decision?
Yes, I am.
Okay, as well as I am ready to make a decision as well. So we'll have the public hearing portion closed, and please express your views, Ken.
Madam Chair, I would be in support of the minor variance for 3573 Dominion Road, AO 520. It's really we're talking about making the allowance for these rear yard decks, which would be a nice addition to the townhomes there.
Mm-hmm.
It does meet all of the 4 tests for minor variances, and of course, that allows the planning staff to be in favor of it. There were no other comments from the other town departments. I have no other issues with it.
Okay, thank you. I am also in favor of the application based on the reasons that Ken has already expressed. So now I'll entertain a motion, please.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve minor variance A0520 for 3573 Dominion Road. There are no conditions.
Okay, and I will second that. So all in favor? Okay, so the motion is carried. Your application has been approved. You will receive written notice of the committee's decision, and the decision will become final so long as no appeals are received within 20 days of the notice. And we thank you for attending tonight.
Thank you very much.
Take care. Okay, so we'll ask David to come back into the room. Thank you, David. We're now going to move on to minor variance file A06/20, which is 535 Burleigh Road. The applicant is Robert Rowell. Are you ready to proceed tonight with your application?
Mr. Roll's been brought in and allowed to speak. Mr. Roll, you may need to just click unmute your audio in the bottom left-hand corner.
Yes, I am, Madam Chair.
Okay, good. Sarah, will you please read all correspondence and comments?
Sorry, I forgot to unmute myself as well. The purpose and effect of this application is to request an increase to the maximum lot coverage from 2% to 2.3% for a proposed construction of a one-story garage. Planning staff are in support of the application and no comments or concerns were received. We did receive comments from the Niagara Region Private Sewage System and they are also have no objections to the application. And that concludes.
Okay, thank you. Do you wish to make any comments on the application or the correspondence that we've received tonight, Mr. Roll?
No, I have no further comments, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. And we'll start with Ken. Do you have any questions of the applicant?
Madam Chair, just one question. Realize it's a single story. We don't have actually a proposed plan of the actual garage. My real question is it your intention to use it for human habitation?
No. No, I did submit a plan to the town though.
Thank you.
David, do you have any questions of the applicant?
No, I do not.
Okay. Nor do I. I do not have any other questions of the applicant. So our committee members ready to make a decision? Oh, sorry, I missed that step. Anybody in the audience wish to comment? Please raise your virtual hand and we'll ask, speak one at a time.
I'm seeing none, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. So if there's no other questions, we will have the public hearing portion closed. And I'll ask members present to express their views. So Ken?
Madam Chair, I will be in support of the minor variance. It does meet the 4 tests of the minor variance. Planning staff are in support. There were no other issues raised by other town of Fort Erie departments.
Okay, thank you. And David?
I will also be in favor of this minor variance. It meets the 4 tests and town staff is okay with it, so I don't see any issues.
Okay, so now entertain a motion for this application.
I'll put a motion forward that consideration of all written and oral submissions for minor variance file A06-20 be accepted without any condition.
Okay,
I'll second the motion.
Okay, all in favor? All right, the motion is carried. Your application has been approved. You will receive written notice of the committee's decision. Decision will become final so long as no appeals are received with the 20 days of the notice. So thank you for attending this evening.
Thank you, Madam Chair and committee members.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I want to apologize. I just realized I had misplaced the drawings for that garage and I looked, obviously I had misfiled it, so I apologize for that omission.
No problem. There's a lot of paperwork today. Okay, so next minor variance file is 5045 Avenue Dunes. The applicant is Sider Brothers Builders, Sean Sider, and the owners are Ed and Aaron Sipple. Mr. Sider, are you ready to proceed?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you. Carol, will you please read all correspondence and comments received?
Certainly. The purpose and effect of this application is to request an increase to the maximum lot coverage provision from 10% to 12% to allow the construction of a 2-story addition and covered porch on an existing dwelling. The applicant has already gone through site plan approval for the application as it is in the Point Avenue Dunes area. The region had no comments as they'd already reviewed it at the site plan and there were no conditions imposed on the application or public comments provided.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Sider, do you have any comments or?
No comments. Be happy to answer any questions if anyone has any.
Okay, thank you. Ken, do you have any questions of the applicant?
I do not, Madam Chair.
Okay. David, do you have any questions of the applicant?
No, I do not, Madam Chair.
Okay. And nor do I. So is anyone in the audience wish to comment? Please raise your hand.
I'm seeing none, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. So are the committee members ready to make a decision? We'll consider it closed for the public hearing portion. And I'll now ask Ken to express your views on the proposal.
Madam Chair, I'll be in support of the minor variance for 5045 Avenel Dune Road. It does meet the 4 tests for minor variance. The planning staff are in support. There were no other issues raised by other town departments.
Thank you. And David?
I'll also be in favor of this minor variance. It does meet the 4 tests and it does meet the general intent of the plan, of the official plan.
Okay, I'll now entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I'll do that. I'll make a motion that we approve minor variance file A0720 for 5045 Avenel Dune Road. There are no conditions.
I'll second that.
Okay, and all in favor? All right, then the motion is carried. Your application has been approved. You will receive written notice of the committee's decision, and the decision will become final so long as no appeals are received within the 20 days of the notice. We thank you for attending this evening.
Thank you very much.
Good night. Okay, now we're on to the last minor variance file. It's file A08/20, 2301 Staniland Park Road. The applicant is Stephen Kraus. Are you ready to proceed tonight, Mr. Kraus?
I am.
Okay, very good. Kara, can you please read all correspondence and comments?
Certainly. First of all, I want to apologize to Mr. Krause for the name spelling on the planning report. It should be noted that his name is spelled S-T-E-V-E-N, not S-T-E-P-H-E-N. It is on the application in the correct manner. The purpose and effect of this application is to permit the construction of a detached garage in the front yard of the subject property, as it is only permitted in that area in the rear or side yards of a property. Planning staff support the application with the condition that if any deep ground disturbance is proposed, the owner shall be required to carry out an archaeological assessment and mitigation to ensure the preservation of the adverse impacts of the resources in that area. Applicant has also been asked to provide detailed tree locations and proximity of the trees with the lot line and the proposed garage to determine if drip lines will be an issue prior to the building permit stage, and to address the town's concerns. If there are any concerns at that time, a tree preservation plan may be required from a certified arborist. That concludes the comments we received on the application.
Okay, thank you. Do you wish to speak on the correspondence or the application, Mr. Kraus?
No further comments. Thank you.
Okay, and I'll ask committee members if they have any questions. Ken, do you have any questions of the applicant?
Madam Chair, similar to the previous application, I'll just ask if the applicant has any desire or design to use the garage for human habitation.
Madam Chair, absolutely not. It's just strictly storage of vehicles.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, Ken?
No, Madam Chair.
David, do you have any questions?
I've just got a general question. Has anybody told you what the definition of a deep ground disturbance is?
Madam Chair, to answer Mr. Gianfrancesco's question, not really, but it didn't really concern us because it's a garage. We don't plan on doing any sort of basement. Basically, we're just building on the existing level that it's at.
Okay.
And I just have a question that this is a single story, one-story garage?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, is there anyone in the audience who wishes to comment? I'm not sure if anyone is still in the audience.
I'm seeing none, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Committee members that are ready to make a decision, we'll have the public hearing portion closed. And I'll now ask Ken to express your views, please, on the proposal.
Madam Chair, I'll be in support of the minor variance for 2301 Stanaland Park. It does meet the 4 tests for minor variance. There is a condition regarding which Dave has already talked about with the applicant. There was the issue regarding trees, which I believe has been properly addressed, but it is not actually a condition on this application as I understand it. If I'm incorrect, perhaps Kara can comment on that.
Okay, Madam Chair?
Yes.
It will be addressed on the decision. It will be noted on the decision so that building staff are aware of the situation. And it will be in record as it was part of the decision of the application.
All right, and Madam Chair, is that considered a condition or just a note on the application?
It will be considered a condition that it's addressed.
Oh, all right, so there is a condition there then. Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you. And David?
I'll also be in favor of this minor variance. It meets the 4 tests, and I don't have an issue with it as long as the conditions are set forth in his application.
Okay, thank you. I'll now entertain a motion.
I'll put the motion forward that consideration of all written and oral submissions for minor variance A08-20 be accepted with the conditions stated.
Okay, thank you. And
I'll second the motion.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, so the motion is carried. Your application has been approved. You will receive written notice of the committee's decision. Decision will become final so long as no appeals are received within 20 days of the notice. And we thank you for attending this evening.
Thank you, Madam Chair and committee members.
Take care. Motion from the committee to process the signing of decisions concurred by the majority of members electronically. Can I get a motion that that's how we're going to sign the documents, the decisions?
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, and all in favor? So we're all in favor. Is there any new business this evening? Do you have any new business, David?
No, I do not.
No, nor do I. So the next meeting is scheduled for June 18th, 2020. So that concludes our meeting tonight. So the meeting is adjourned.